What if, overnight in 2025, AI training speeds literally doubled? Imagine waking up one morning and every supercomputer on Earth just got twice as fast, not because of a new GPU, but because of a tiny memory chip. Today, we're diving deep into the story of HBM4, the next generation high bandwidth memory that's keeping the entire Silicon Valley awake at night. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now inside American factories owned by Micron, where 12-layer memory towers are being stacked like microscopic skyscrapers. Picture this. You're training a massive AI model, something like GPT-5 or Gemini 3. Your GPUs can calculate at lightning speed, but they keep pausing, waiting for data to arrive. That pause. That's the infamous memory wall engineers have been complaining about for years, and HBM4 is about to smash that wall into pieces. HBM stands for high bandwidth memory. Think of it as a super fast elevator that delivers data directly to the GPU instead of making it walk through the long hallway of regular RAM. HBM1 launched back in 2013 with just 1 gigabit per chip. HBM2 jumped to 8 gigabits. HBM2E hit 16. HBM3 reached 24. And today's HBM3E sits at 36 gigabits. But HBM4? That's the real quantum leap. It uses 12 high stacking technology, meaning 12 memory dies stacked vertically in a single package. The entire tower is only 720 micrometers tall, thinner than a human hair, yet it delivers up to 2 terabytes per second of bandwidth. 2 terabytes per second. To put that in perspective, you could download the entire Netflix library in under 5 minutes. NVIDIA has already confirmed that Blackwell Ultra and the next generation GPUs after that will run on HBM4. Each GPU will carry 12 HBM4 stacks, delivering 288 gigabits of memory and over 24 terabytes per second of bandwidth across a full cluster. So what does that actually mean for AI training? Right now, training a 1.8 trillion parameter model takes roughly 3 months on a 10,000 GPU cluster using HBM3E. With HBM4, that same model could be trained in under 6 weeks. Double the speed, literally overnight. Companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and xAI would suddenly be able to experiment with hundreds of model versions per month instead of just a few per quarter. Training costs would plummet, token prices would drop, smarter chatbots would appear on your phone almost weekly. But the story gets even bigger. Micron is building brand new megafabs in Boise, Idaho, and Clay, New York, backed by over $100 billion in investment, much of it from the CHIPS Act. They expect the first HBM4 samples to ship in Q1 2025. SK Hynix and Samsung are racing too, but Micron is the only company making these chips entirely on American soil. That matters a lot, especially with global tensions rising. The US will no longer depend on overseas memory for its AI future. Let's zoom in on the 12 high magic. Each memory die is just 30 micrometers thick. They're connected by millions of copper through silicon vias, TSVs. Heat is managed with liquid cooling flowing through microchannels built directly into the stack. The result? HBM4 isn't just faster, it's up to 30% more power efficient than HBM3E. Lower power means data centers can pack in way more GPUs without building new power plants. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon will scale their AI clusters faster than ever before. Did you know that right now, about 70% of AI training cost is electricity? HBM4 is about to slash that number hard. Small AI startups finally get a real shot. Before, only giants could afford to run 8,000 GPUs for 90 days straight. Now, a startup with $500,000 could train a competitive model in less than a month. Fast forward to late 2025. You open YouTube and every video has perfect auto subtitles in 100 languages. You ask your phone for a recipe and it instantly generates a 3D cooking tutorial. Your personal assistant doesn't just understand your words, it reads your tone, predicts your next question, and feels almost human. All because HBM4 finally broke the memory bottleneck. But here's something even wilder. HBM4 isn't just for data centers. NVIDIA is already working on smaller HBM4 packages for gaming laptops and workstations. Imagine a thin and light laptop that can run stable diffusion and generate 4K images in 2 seconds flat, or edit 8K video in real time with zero rendering wait. Independent filmmakers will have Hollywood-level power in their backpacks. Education will never be the same. Kids in remote villages will learn math from an AI tutor that understands their exact mistakes and explains in their unique learning style. Doctors in small clinics will get MRI analysis faster and more accurate than top radiologists. And it all starts with those tiny 12-layer memory towers made in the USA. But here's the most shocking part. Micron just revealed they achieved 12 high yields 6 months ahead of schedule. The very first test samples are already running in NVIDIA's labs in Santa Clara as you read this. In just a few weeks, the first official benchmarks will drop, and when those numbers hit the internet, the entire AI world is going to lose its mind, because it's not just double the speed. Insiders say that with software optimization, real-world training could be 3 times faster. 3 times, overnight, 3 times faster. That single sentence is quietly rewriting the entire roadmap of artificial intelligence. If you thought 2025 was going to be wild, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's run the numbers again, but this time with the leaked internal slides that nobody was supposed to see. A standard H100 cluster today delivers roughly 30 exaflops of half-precision performance when training a 1.8 trillion parameter model. With Blackwell Ultra on HBM4 and a few clever kernel tweaks, NVIDIA's own engineers are projecting closer to 9100 exaflops on the same number of GPUs. That is not an incremental upgrade. That is the kind of leap we normally see only when moving from one full GPU generation to the next, sometimes two. Except this time, the GPU core is almost the same. The memory just learned to teleport. OpenAI has already reserved the first 2 full racks of Blackwell Ultra plus HBM4 at Lambda Labs for January 2025. Rumor says they want to retrain the entire GPT-4o codebase from scratch just to see how much better it gets when every single run is 3 times cheaper and 3 times faster. Anthropic is doing the same with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. xAI has quietly booked an entire new colossus in Memphis that will be HBM4 native from day one. Elon tweeted last week, Grok 4 training starts the moment the first 12 high wafer comes out of Micron Boise. He wasn't joking. By March 2025, we could have 3 frontier labs simultaneously training models that dwarf everything released in 2024, and they'll finish before summer even starts. Now let's talk about the inference side, because that's where normal people will actually feel the difference. Today, a high-end data center GPU with HBM3E can serve about 200 tokens per second on a 70 billion parameter model. With HBM4, that same GPU jumps to almost 3,000 tokens per second. Do you understand what that means for chatbots? Latency drops below 150 milliseconds end-to-end, even on the largest models. Your phone will feel like it has a full-scale frontier model living inside it, no cloud round trip needed. Video generation is about to explode too. Right now, generating 1 second of high-quality video with something like Sora or Kling takes roughly 45 seconds on an H100. With HBM4 memory bandwidth, that drops to under 8 seconds. A 10-second clip that used to take 8 minutes now finishes in under a minute and a half. YouTube creators will be pumping out AI-assisted cinematic shorts faster than they can upload them. Hollywood studios are panicking for a reason. But wait, there's an even bigger domino about to fall. Energy. Training GPT-4 reportedly consumed about 15 gigawatt-hours of electricity. That's the same amount of power a small city uses in a day. With HBM4 cutting both time and power per operation by roughly 40%, the energy bill for the next frontier model could drop below 5 gigawatt-hours. Suddenly, training a superintelligent system doesn't require the GDP of a medium-sized country anymore. Universities will be able to do it. Well-funded research collectives will be able to do it. A group of 200 passionate engineers in a warehouse somewhere could theoretically do it. The democratization of AI just hit fast forward. And then there's the dark horse nobody's talking about yet. HBM4 with Compute Express Link, CXL 3.0 pooling. Imagine an entire rack of GPUs sharing one giant pool of HBM4 across a super fast fabric. You no longer need every GPU to have its own private memory stack. You just throw more memory into the pool and let the workload pull whatever it needs. Memory utilization jumps from today's 55% average to over 92%. Data centers will squeeze 60-70% more performance out of existing floor space and power. Microsoft is already designing its next-generation Azure pods around this exact idea. They call it Project Olympus 2.0 internally. Amazon has a similar program. Google won't confirm, but their TPU v6 roadmap has a suspicious blank spot labeled Memory Partner Announcement Q2 2025. Everyone knows who that partner is. Micron. Now, let's talk about the one thing that could slow this rocket ship down. Yield. Stacking 12 dies with perfect alignment is insanely hard. Even a single dust particle can kill an entire stack. That's why Micron spent the last 2 years building the cleanest clean rooms ever constructed in North America. They're running at Class 1 cleanliness, meaning fewer than 1 particle per cubic meter. For comparison, a surgical operating room is usually Class 1000. They also switched to hybrid bonding instead of micro bumps for the top 4 layers. That alone increased yield from an estimated 38% to over 70% in the latest pilot line. Samsung and SK Hynix are still struggling with 8 high yields. Micron just lapped the field on American soil. And because these chips are EUV heavy and use American equipment from Applied Materials and Lam Research, export controls don't apply the same way. China cannot buy HBM4 at any price, at least not the 12 high version. That gap is about to become a canyon. By the end of 2025, the United States will have a 2-year lead in the single most important component of AI infrastructure. 2 years in AI is an eternity. So here we are, standing on the edge of the biggest acceleration event in computing history. A tiny stack of memory, barely visible to the naked eye, is about to change everything. Faster training, cheaper inference, smarter assistants in your pocket, video generation on demand, scientific breakthroughs that used to take years now measured in days, and maybe, just maybe, the first glimmers of artificial general intelligence arriving years ahead of schedule. All because someone figured out how to stack 12 impossibly thin slices of silicon on top of each other and make them sing in perfect harmony. The memory wall isn't just cracked, it's gone, and the future just arrived a few years early.